Dividing fractions. Before we talk about dividing fractions and what that means, let's look at an ordinary whole number division problem. 6 divided by 2. The 6, the number being divided, is called the dividend. The 2, the number being divided by, is called the divisor. And the answer, the number of times the divisor can fit into the dividend, is called the quotient. To nobody's surprise, 2 goes into 6 3 times. But let's use a number line to look at this a bit more closely. We'll represent the dividend in the problem with this bar, and the divisor with this bar. Now, we'll see how many times 2 will fit into 6. Sure enough, 2 still goes into 6 3 times. Let's do another problem. The dividend will be 4, a whole number. But this time, we'll throw a fraction into the mix and use 1/4 as the divisor. Since we're now dividing by a fraction, we'll put up markers for 1/4 on the number line. And we'll label the markers as how many fourths those quarter markers represents on the number line. Here's our dividend, 4. And here's our divisor, 1/4. How many times will 1/4 fit into 4? If we count all those fourths, or look at the quarter marks on the number line, we see that 1/4 will go into 4 16 times. That's great. We got a way to visualize what's happening when we divide by a fraction. In this case, we can see that for each whole number on the number line, we have 4 fourths. So we've got 4 groups of 4, which is 4 times 4, and that equals 16. Hey, would you look at that? 4 divided by 1/4 equals 16. And 4 times 4 also equals 16. There's something going on here. Let's take a look. 1/4 and 4 are what we call reciprocals. 1/4 is the reciprocal of 4, and 4 is the reciprocal of 1/4. A whole number, like 4, can be written as a fraction by putting it over 1. The whole number 4 is the same as 4 once. But reciprocals aren't just for when you have a number and 1 over that number. If you have a fraction like 2/3, to get the reciprocal, you just flip it to get 3/2. Reciprocals are very special and useful numbers. There's a lot that could be said about them. But for our purposes here today, we're going to remember that they are very useful for division. But before I spill the beans on that, let's look at our last problem again. Looking at these two equations, we can see that dividing by 1/4 gets the same result as multiplying by its reciprocal, 4. Is this something special about 4, 1/4, and 16? Or does it work with other numbers? And does it only work when dividing by fractions? Let's look at our first problem. 6 divided by 2 is 3. There's not a fraction in sight. At least, not yet. Is this true? That 6 times 1/2, the reciprocal of 2, is 3? 6 times 1/2 is the same as adding 1/2 6 times. Every part of 1/2 is equal to 1, which leaves us with 3 ones. But I'm still skeptical. Let's give it the number line treatment. Here's our number for 6 divided by 2 equals 3. Let's try that with 6 times 1/2 equals 3. 6 times 1/2 is 6/2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I'm sold. 6/2 is 3. So dividing 6 by 2 gives us the same results as multiplying 6 by the reciprocal of 2. We could work a lot more problems and we'd get the same results. We've got us a new rule for division. And here's the rule. Dividing by a number is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. And it works both ways. Multiplying a number is the same as dividing by its reciprocal. Let's test it with a fraction division problem. A problem that's all fractions. Dividing a fraction by a fraction. I'm so excited! 2/3 divided by 1/6. If we try and solve it the way we did with the number line, we can see that the 1/6 fits into 2/3 4 times. Okay, I'm just checking. Here comes the reciprocals. 2/3 divided by 1/6 is the same as 2/3 times 6/1. And the answer is, let's see here, 2 times 6 is 12. And 3 times 1 is 3. That's 12/3. And 12/3 simplifies to 4. With this method, we can solve all sorts of fraction division problems. We can change the division to multiply and flip the divisor. 3 times 5 is 15. 4 times 2 is 8. This gives us 15/8, which is an improper fraction. We can simplify that to 1 7/8. Now let's divide a fraction by a whole number. 2/3 divided by 5. Change the operation from divide to multiply and flip the 5 to its reciprocal, 1/5. 2 times 1 is 2. 3 times 5 is 15. 2/15. And that's the story on dividing fractions. A common way to remember the steps is to say, keep, change, flip. Keep the dividend, change, divide to multiply, and flip the divisor.